Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to talk about this Fantastic Four bingo card that I made for the brand new Fantastic Four film. I'm going to explain everything what I think will happen or what might happen in the film. Obviously, let's just talk about it and let's just get into it. Alright, let's go, or should I say it's going to be fantastic.
Say that again?
If you might have been laying under the thing for these couple of years, and if you don't know what the Fantastic Four is, the Fantastic Four, often abbreviated as FF, is a superhero team appearing in American Marvel comics. Obviously, the team debuted in the Fantastic Four #1, cover dated 1961, helping usher in a new level of realism in the medium. It was the first superhero team created by artist/co-plotter Jack Kirby, the GOAT himself, and editor, co-scripter Stan Lee. And through this title, the Marvel Method style of production came into prominence. The four characters traditionally associated with the Fantastic Four, who gained superhero powers after exposure to cosmic rays during a scientific mission to outer space, are Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards, a scientific genius and the leader of the group, who can stretch his body into incredible length and shapes and spaces. I wonder what he can do with his powers though. Anyway, the Invisible Woman, aka Susan Sue Storm Richards, Reed's girlfriend / later wife, who can render herself invisible and project powerful invisible force fields and blasts. The Human Torch played, obviously, a crucial role in the great relationship between him and Spider-Man. Wow, because they're just obviously buddies and best friends, right? Obviously, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, Sue's younger brother, who can generate flames, surround himself with them, and fly. And the monstrous thing, Ben Grimm, their grumpy but benevolent friend, a former colleague, football star, Reed's college roommate, and a skilled pilot who possesses tremendous superhuman strength, durability, and endurance due to his stone-like flesh. Since their 1961 introduction, the Fantastic Four has been portrayed as a somewhat dysfunctional yet lovingly family, breaking convention with other comic archetypes. The members squabbled, held grudges, both deep and petty, and unshoot, I suppose that's how you pronounce it, anonymity. Yeah, anonymity. I think that's how you also pronounce that word. Anyway, like I said, I've said this a couple of times, English is not my first language, so if I mispronounce words, it's funny, right? Anyway, my European accent just slips through these sentences sometimes. But anyway, their secret identities in favor of celebrity status are very interesting. They are also well known for their reoccurring encounters with characters such as the villainous monarch Doctor Doom, the planet-devouring Galactus, the Kree Empire, ruthless and tyrannical enforcer Ronan the Accuser, the negative zone's ruler Annihilus, the subterranean villain Mole Man, the sea-dwelling prince Namor, the space-faring Silver Surfer, the Skrull warrior Klirt, and something like that, anyway. And the Molecule Man, the Fantastic Four, has been adapted into other media, including several video games, animated series, and live-action films. So obviously, I'm going to talk about that first, or I guess the last thing. Now, the Fantastic Four film, which will release coming soon, obviously, in the end of July. So by the time you're watching this, I think we're pretty close for its release, right? So there we go. The Fantastic Four, obviously very interesting. The stars in this film are going to be Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and I believe his name is... I think his last name is Bachrach. Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss Bachrach, Ralph Enoes, and Julia Garner. So that's very interesting. The cast itself is very stacked with great stars. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm / Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm / Human Torch, Eben Moss Bachrach, Ben Grimm / The Thing, Ralph Enoes, the Galactus, and Julia Garner / Shalabal / Silver Surfer. Obviously, I'm going to tell you more information about these characters and these actors in just a couple of seconds. But the Fantastic Four, a brand new film is going to be released, and I can't bloody wait because it's been such a long time since we last saw a Fantastic Four film. And this is one of my favorite superhero teams, and I'm so excited that a brand new film will be released in the coming month. Man, holy shit, like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are two of my favorite teams. Like, I know the Avengers are the most popular ones, but that's because obviously Marvel already sold the rights to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men to other studios back in the 1990s. And obviously they needed to make films, and that's how they made the Avengers films, because those were the characters that actually were the characters that were the backburners of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the Marvel Universe in the comics, right? So the less popular characters became the more popular characters, if that makes sense. Obviously, Spider-Man was also sold to Sony, but obviously those are like production and studio interferences and financial problems, shenanigans. Anyway, I want to focus on the Fantastic Four film today. I'm going to talk about my theories, my, I guess, ideas, what will happen in this film. That's why I made this bingo card. So, alright, I guess let's just begin with the first thing that I'm going to talk about from this bingo card. So this is the bingo card up close. We have obviously all these little squares, obviously this great poster in the front, because why the hell not? And yeah, let's just talk about the first three squares: Doctor Doom, Franklin Richards, and the Celestials. So alright, I think they're going to appear in the film, but I'll tell you more about that just now. Obviously, I think it's very interesting. Doctor Doom is going to appear in the Avengers Doomsday film and probably Avengers Secret Wars. He'll be played by, obviously, Robert Downey Jr. You know, Doctor Doom might be a variant of Iron Man, but we're not quite sure, obviously. But I think Doctor Doom, I think, obviously, this won't happen necessarily, but there's a slight feeling inside of me that Doctor Doom or something alongside him, or like a mention of him, will be appearing in the film. Like maybe Doctor Doom or Victor Von Doom, because Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards were actually colleagues, I suppose. So that's interesting. So yeah, maybe Doctor Doom might appear in the new Fantastic Four film. Obviously, he appeared in all the other Fantastic Four films, but obviously, because he is going to be introduced in, you know, Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, I'm not quite sure. We'll just need to wait and see, because, you know, everything might happen in the film. All of these things that I'm going to talk about might actually not happen, you know. But hey, Doctor Doom is an option, as a, you know, one of my theories that will obviously, hopefully not be true, or hopefully might be true. We'll just need to wait and see for that. Alright, the second square is Franklin Richards. I guess I can also cross this one off already, because we've seen Franklin Richards in the trailer, but I am leaning more into like his adolescence period. Like, Franklin Richards is this very powerful character in the Marvel comics, and this guy, obviously, he has the powers of Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, and Sue Storm is very, very powerful, and obviously so is Mr. Fantastic. But Franklin Richards, he has like this power where he can actually make universes. Like, literally, he has godlike powers almost. And, you know, sometimes he's associated with Doctor Doom, and, you know, maybe because they're setting up Doomsday, Franklin Richards might have like a time jump in the film, or maybe he'll become older when obviously Avengers Doomsday arrives, because I think Doctor Doom might use him in some way. You know, maybe his powers will be the key to making a brand new universe where obviously mutants are introduced, and every superhero group like Avengers, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, X-Men, Inhumans, Celestial, no, what's their name? Eternals, right? Will all be introduced in this one universe, because, you know, I think that what might be very interesting, but obviously, like I said, this is just a suggestion by me. This might not appear, obviously, but Franklin Richards, we've already seen him in the trailer as like a baby. So yeah, Sue Storm is also pregnant during the film, and she might obviously go into labor during the film. We might just see that all play out in the film, but hey, look, a teenager Franklin Richards might also be very interesting to see. But alright, the last square of the first row is the Celestials. The thing is, these were first introduced in the Eternals film. I suppose more background information, because the Celestials are like godlike beings, right? They create universes, they destroy universes. I guess they sometimes eat planets. I mean, yes, Galactus is also a Celestial, but we've seen all kinds of Celestials throughout the years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like Ego, the living planet, is also a Celestial. We obviously also saw... oh boy, Nowhere, obviously the severed head of a Celestial. We also saw the Celestial in Guardians of the Galaxy with his Power Stone in his staff. But yeah, that might be very interesting, like Celestials and Galactus, especially Galactus, is going to appear in the Fantastic Four film. So I'm not quite sure, maybe he's part of the Celestials, or maybe he's part of like, I don't know, like some kind of group Celestials. But obviously the Fantastic Four film is going to play out in a different universe. And maybe the Fantastic Four are going to meet more Celestials, or maybe they won't. I'm not quite sure. We'll just need to wait and see. Alright, Fantastic Four obviously will introduce Galactus, and Galactus is this godlike being, just like any other Celestial, and he eats planets. Obviously, he's probably going to eat the planet where the Fantastic Four live on, and that's quite unfortunate. And maybe the Fantastic Four are going to go to another world, another multiverse, another reality where obviously their planets, they're going to obviously warn other people for Galactus. Yeah, but we'll just need to wait and see for that too. Obviously the Silver Surfer is also going to be introduced in the film, and yeah, played by Julia Garner. That's interesting as well.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
What is that? Get us out of here, Ben! Hold on!
But yeah, I think Ralph Inouye is going to voice Galactus, and he has this very deep voice, and I think that will be so amazing to see on the big screen. Like his voice, if they put like a reverb on that and make him more like his voice more deeper and more I guess godlike, damn bro, that shit is going to be that shit is going to be wild.
I had a scene that came after the credits in it, and it's me in a car park being quite unsavoury, and that originally was in the first series, and we had a meeting at the start of the second series with everybody kind of saying, is there anything anybody wants to keep or that we didn't carry over? And I said, I want that scene.
But anyway, let's just talk about the next few squares. Alright, we have this beautiful Fantastic Four poster in the middle, but let's just talk about these four right here. So these four at the, I guess, the sides here, we have these two and we have these two. So right, let's talk about this one up next. Okay, my other idea for obviously one of these things to happen is the appearance or the mention of Latveria. Latveria is actually the country ruled by Doctor Doom, and if we have Doctor Doom, we also have Latveria, and if we have Latveria, we also have Doctor Doom. So I suppose if they're going to mention Latveria, that might be interesting. Obviously, the main capital of Latveria is Doomstad, and as a European myself, I think, Latveria is around Hungary and Croatia and Serbia and Romania, Bulgaria and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But obviously I don't really live around those parts, I guess. Like, I live near France, near the Netherlands. I live in bloody Belgium, man. Yeah, come on. All my Belgian people, rise up. No, just kidding. Don't do that. Anyway, yeah, it's very interesting. Latveria is this fictional country. It doesn't exist in the real world. But hey, look, if it exists, Doctor Doom also exists, right? So there we go. All right, let's talk about these villains. The villains for the Fantastic Four film are going to be introduced. Like, there are rumors, leaks that suggest that we might see Mole Man. We might see, obviously, we're going to see Galactus, but we might see Mole Man, and we might see that other professor guy. I'm not quite sure what his name is, but he's going to be played by John Malkovich. And I saw like an interview from him a while ago where he was introduced, or he was, I guess he was introduced in this Dutch series, this morning special thing with Sunday with Lubach. So Zondag with Lubach. That's like a talk show, and he was actually invited there, which was really nice. I watched that interview, and John Malkovich just mentioned Fantastic Four, and it was like really cool. So hey, there we go. Hey, right, very very nice.
I saw in the news you're doing a Marvel movie, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. We have a picture of it. Maybe we could take a look. Look at this. Wow, you resemble our Sinterklaas in a way. Where, yeah. I mean it in a nice way. In a nice way. Was it a dream come true? Do you always wanted to play in a Marvel movie?
No.
What happened?
No. I had spoken with the people at Marvel about a couple of films, neither of which worked out. But this one's directed by a friend and colleague of mine, Matt Shack.
We might see these villains, we might see some other Fantastic Four villains. We just need to wait and see, obviously, for the film to drop. Anyway, the next two squares are the Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts cameo and Annihilus. Let's talk about the Thunderbolts first. So, if you haven't seen Thunderbolts, like I haven't seen Thunderbolts yet, so I'm spoiling myself here a bit, but anyway, Thunderbolts, at the end of the film, there is actually this mention, or we see some kind of spaceship floating towards Earth, our Earth, or I guess Earth 1999 / Earth 16616. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how they pronounce that, or mention that, whatever. It's the MCU Earth, and the Fantastic Four are actually flying towards that Earth. So the Thunderbolts are actually looking at the spaceship coming to Earth. So might the Fantastic Four meet up with the Thunderbolts at the end of the film? I'm not quite sure. We'll just need to wait and see. I'm not quite sure what will happen at the end of the film. Maybe they'll just defeat Galactus, and maybe Galactus explodes into a billion universes. I don't know. No, just kidding. But we just need to wait and see. Anyway, the next one is Annihilus. Oh boy, let's just talk about Annihilus, because, I mean, he's a very underrated character. Anyway, Annihilus is a supervillain appearing in the American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Annihilus has at various times been the ruler of the Negative Zone, controlling its inhabitants via his powerful cosmic control rod. He first encountered the Fantastic Four after Reed Richards discovered how to travel to the Negative Zone from Earth. Over the years, he clashed with the Fantastic Four on many occasions, often with the group foiling his plans to invade Earth. He is often the partner of Blastar, who started out as a rival to Annihilus' rule of the Negative Zone before becoming an ally. Annihilus has appeared in a number of Marvel media, including several Fantastic Four shows, as well as the Superhero Squad show, The Avengers, Mightiest Heroes, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, The Ultimate Spider-Man. In 2009, Annihilus was ranked as IGN's 94th greatest comic book villains of all time. Very, very interesting. Annihilus is capable of self-propelled flight and can withstand the vacuum of space. He possesses an insectoid exoskeleton with armored components that grants him resistance to most forms of injury. He has superhuman physical abilities. He's able to breathe in the vacuum of empty space. Wow, that's quite insane. And can fly at speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. Annihilus wields the cosmic control rod, which slows his aging process and enables him to manipulate energy and matter. Though not always engaging himself in direct combat, Annihilus has proved to be a formidable opponent and was able to defeat the Thing, Thor, Nova Prime, Quasar and Blastar in individual fights with relative ease. Oh, Quasar is also this very interesting character that I might make a video on. Maybe in the future, we just need to wait and see. Anyway, Annihilus also leads an elite personal guard, the Centurions, who have occasionally wielded portions of the cosmic control rod's power. Like, the thing is, I love Annihilus because he is my strongest fighter in the Marvel Contest of Champions game. And I just remember him being so badass and so strong. So there we go. That's where my love for Annihilus comes in. But alright, I suppose let's just talk about the three last squares. So, hey, alright. But first of all, guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's just ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. What's your favorite Marvel villain? Obviously, that the Fantastic Four have faced. Maybe it's the Wall. That's also a Marvel villain, right? Maybe it's Doctor Doom, or maybe it's even Annihilus. We just need to wait and see, or I guess I just need to wait and see for your guys' reaction and opinions. But alright, let's talk about the last 3 squares up next. Alright, so the last 3 squares are over here. We have Crystal, the Incursion, and Variance. So I guess everything that connects from this bingo cards actually combines with one another, like the Incursions. We obviously have the Incursions together with the Celestials because that's connected in a way. Variance with Doctor Doom, obviously Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, and you see Doctor Doom is also there, played by Robert Downey Jr., and we have obviously John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and obviously Chris Evans as Human Torch. So I guess it's all a mishmash of different things, but it's kind of all connected, right? So Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts maybe sets up an incursion. So I guess let's just talk about these 3 up next. Alright, let's talk about a thing that might not happen in the film, but hey, it might still be very interesting to see, because obviously in the trailer we were introduced to Johnny Storm, played by Joseph Quinn. And Joseph Quinn, or I suppose, like, yeah, the Human Torch, like both of them, like the actor and the character, both have a huge following by, I guess, females. And that's quite interesting. But the Human Torch is also a very big player himself. Yeah, man, he has amazingly good riz. Like, obviously, he befriends Spider-Man. Like, I want to befriend Spider-Man as well. So, anyway, let's talk about Crystal. Crystal is actually somehow, some way, the girlfriend of Human Torch. Sometimes, you know, Crystal is obviously this inhuman that can control elements. Obviously, she's mostly known to be, I suppose, I think it's like, so she's part of the inhuman royal family, I suppose. I don't think that she's the sister of Medusa, but she might be like related to her or whatever. It's been a while since I last checked my inhuman knowledge. But anyway, Crystal was obviously the girlfriend of the Human Torch / Johnny Storm. And I mean, she's a ginger, so hey, can't complain, my guy.
Yes, he be liking the redheads.
Anyway, she was also married to Quicksilver at some point. Crystal and Quicksilver conceived a child together, a girl bearing no apparent inhuman nor mutant characteristics, whom they named Luna, after the world on which she was born. Interesting. But obviously, she had many alien affairs as well, but I think like in the 60s, she was, I mean, in love with the Human Torch. But that might be interesting. I'm not quite sure if the Fantastic Four will have Inhumans on their world or in their universe. Like, some leaks and some rumors say that the Fantastic Four are the only superheroes on their Earth. But we just need to wait and see, because obviously, like I said, the Inhumans have been introduced in Doctor Strange 2. So, I like a variant of them. Black Bolt, or Black Boltagon, was introduced in Doctor Strange 2. So, I'm not quite sure. I just want to see a proper introduction to the Inhumans, and maybe this might be the key to it. But obviously, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, these are just my ideas of what might happen in the film. Alright, the next square is going to be the Incursion. So, the Incursion is when, or happens when, 2 Earths combine with one another, or I guess they just destroy themselves. And the thing is, obviously in Doctor Strange 2, that was also mentioned and also brought up, because if 2 worlds, you know, crush to one another, you know, everyone who lives on those Earths, I guess, just die, right? So the Illuminati want to stop that, or actually don't want to stop that. You know, sometimes they do, sometimes they won't. Anyway, and the Illuminati, I suppose they were introduced in the comics, but they were also mentioned and seen in the Doctor Strange 2 film. They weren't really named, but, you know, we had Professor X, we had, obviously, Mordo, right? We had Black Bolt, we had Captain Carter, stuff like that. But the Incursion, obviously, is when 2 Earths, you know, crush or destroy one another. So maybe Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday will set up a battle world where 2 Earths or multiple Earths are actually combined into one gigantic world, right? So there we go. So alright, let's talk about the variants up next. Like I already said, we had the different variants throughout the MCU. Obviously, we had the different Lokis, we had the different Mr. Fantastics and, you know, Fantastic Four members. Chris Evans playing the Human Torch, John Krasinski playing Mr. Fantastic. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom now. So, are variants going to appear in the new Fantastic Four film? We just need to wait and see. Like, it would be interesting to see how it all connects. But I just can't bloody wait for this film, man. Like, there are so many possibilities, so many routes and paths that this film might take. And obviously, like I said, these are just my ideas what might happen in the film. Some of these things might never happen, might never appear even, and might not actually mention or be mentioned. But hey, look, these are just my ideas. If one of these things were to happen, that would be very cool, right? So some of these things I can actually already cross off, like Franklin Richards and these villains, like the villains from the Fantastic Four, because obviously they're going to fight some villains in the film, and we're going to see Franklin Richards too. I'm not quite sure about the Celestials. I'm very not quite sure about Annihilus and Crystal, or maybe the Incursion and Variants. But hey, look, the MCU is full of surprises, and we will just need to wait and see for the film. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Goodbye, everyone. Or should I say, that was absolutely fantastic. Bye bye, everyone.